just before you get to the end of the river is the wharf with a thatched roof and all sorts of things, and they sail it clean across the Pacific Ocean.
This is why they had good weather.
Up around about there is the source of the river.
Hi everyone, join us while we go and discover or explore the Mooloola River. Apparently that is an indigenous word for snapper.
And mulla is the indigenous word for red-bellied black snake. So we're not sure which one they actually take the name from.
Yeah.
But it ends up being the Mooloola River.
Yeah. All I know is they do have good fish and chip shops down there.
And we're going there probably.
We'll be going somewhere like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Come with us.
So we're starting our journey at Gerrards Lookout, which will look out right over the whole, pretty much of the Sunshine Coast. And we can see from this spot the start of the Maroochy River and also the mouth of the Maroochy River. So up around about there is the source of the river. So everything on this side of the range flows down and then eventually out through near Point Cartwright at a place called Mooloolaba, which is out about there somewhere. So we're up on the range behind the Sunshine Coast. So everything we see in front of us there is old volcanic areas. So you can see Mount Ninderry there and Mount Coolum just over there a little bit, and further down there's Budrum Mountain and a few other little peaks here and there, which are old volcanic peaks which sort of popped up through the ground, through the old sandstone bed, and then eventually the sandstone was worn away over time, and you end up with all of these hollows, and of course big catchment area for all of the rivers. And there's a whole stack in this area. There's the Noosa River way up there, there's the Maroochy River, which we've already driven, comes out about there, and then the Mooloola River comes out around about there. We are on the road from Mapleton through Montville to Malaney, where we're going to stop at McCarthy's Lookout, where we can see over the Glasshouse Mountains. The road follows a ridge of the Blackall Range, a branch of the Great Dividing Range. On the eastern side of the road, which is my left-hand side here, the rain that falls there will end up out in the Pacific Ocean through the Mooloola River, but on the right hand side everything there flows out to the west and ends up in the Mary River. So here we are looking at the Glasshouse Mountains, which are out there.
On the back of them, aren't we? At the side.
Yeah, on the side of the Glasshouse Mountains, and we're looking down over the Stanley River. So the Stanley River starts just here and flows all the way down until it ends up way over there in the Somerset Dam, where it joins the Brisbane River. So there's a whole stack of rivers that start in and around the Sunshine Coast. The Stanley River, just near Malaney, On the other side of Malaney, of course, is the Mooloola River. Up behind Yandina where we are is the Maroochy River. The Brisbane River actually starts further north than the Mary River, and the Mary River flows north and then comes out at Maryborough, whereas the Brisbane River flows south and ends up at in Moreton Bay there. So it's a weird sort of a setup, but there's lots of water starts, or lots of rivers actually start up around the Sunshine Coast.
See, we're the suburb that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Brisbane.
The area is very rich in dairy industry. In fact, Malaney Dairies is quite famous for being a dairy.
Oh, it's our local dairy.
Yeah.
A lot of the Sunshine Coast people drink and eat their yogurt and their sour cream and everything else that they make. And you can go and visit the dairy and feed their little baby cows and do things like that. If you're ever up here, you want to do something like that. But Malaney Dairies is beautiful milk. So when you're on the Sunshine Coast, do the right thing. Drink Malaney Dairies milk.
And there's actually Malaney cheese as well.
Yeah, and that's really nice.
Yeah.
So there you have it. You actually got to see the cows where the milk comes from. So that's what I love about it, is I can drive up here, drive past, I can see the Malaney dairy cows, and they're eating that lovely, rich Sunshine Coast grass, and you go, that's the milk I want to drink, not the mutilated muck that the cheaper bottles have.
So we're going to take a turn off the top of the hill here and go down to where we hope to see the first bit of flowing water. There's a lot of private property along this river, so we can't get access to everywhere, but let's go down and have a look anyway. So just in this little valley is pretty much the start of the river, and there's nothing more than, I suppose, wet green grass to show for it. So we'll see if we can actually find some flowing water. So we're going to turn off the Landsborough Road down onto Howarth Road here, and then onto the Brandenburg Track, which is a shortcut, if you want to call it that, down to the little township of Mooloola. And from Mooloola we're going to turn left into the hell hole, water hole. I'll show you that. So we're turning left onto Diamond Valley Road, which is at the top end of the Mooloola Valley, and this is where we're going to find the hellhole. And it's probably less than 3 kilometres from where we were just before, where we saw the very source of the river, that muddy water hole up the top of that hill.
So is this part of the Mooloola River?
Mooloola River.
Mooloola River.
Yes.
Getting confused, there's so many rivers.
Yeah, so this is the first place we can drive to where there's actually water flowing. Yeah, there's the obligatory swinging ropes.
Yeah, they've even got bits of wood in the tree to climb up on.
Yeah, right.
To get into it.
So this is the other side of Hellhole, and this is where another branch of the Mooloola River flows down into it.
Want to chuck a snag on the barbie coal? Might need to give it a little bit of clean and de-rust.
Yeah, I reckon.
She's a bit had it.
So the whole of the Sunshine Coast area, when it was first settled by Europeans, they came up here for a lot of the timber, and there's still a lot of the old timber mills around the place. Not as many, nowhere near as many as there used to be, and here's yet another one that's closed down.
It's in pretty good condition, actually.
Yeah, the sheds are all pretty cool. That'd make an awesome, I don't know what, but maybe an artist retreat. Who knows?
Yeah, right along the banks of the Hellhole swimming spot. Yeah.
Yeah, they pulled an awful lot of timber out of the mountains around here, and then of course that opened it all up for dairy farming as well. There's one place not far away called Landers Chute, and the chute is where they used to send the logs down the hill, down towards the river, and once they get them to the river they can then float them on out to sea.
Oh, that's interesting.
Now, just 6 kilometres from the source of the river we come to the little village of Mooloola. Pretty little spot, and what a thriving little community they've got here too. So we're turning left onto Udlo Road, and we find Mooloola and Udlo, all those little places here are very low. We're right at the bottom of the Mooloola Valley, and of course it is a flood zone through here. So we're going to make our way under this railway bridge. So we cross the river here and we head under this bridge. The bridge is above the flood line, of course, but only just, I suppose. And we're going to look for Old Gympie Road. Now, Old Gympie Road, which turns off just to the right here, is one of the old ways you would get to Gympie after the start of the Gympie Gold Rush. They opened up the road here and it winds its way all along the Sunshine Coast and crosses the rivers in several places. They've kept it inland because it's the shallower places to be able to cross the river.
Oh, if I was up north, I'd say this is crocodile country.
But no, it's a little bit further downstream than what we were before. It's flowing, but nowhere near as sort of ripply or whatever. But you can see the water flowing there.
This thing out here, hanging out here, is actually the floodgate.
Yeah.
It's hard to follow a river when there's so many buildings involved.
Yeah. So we cross the river once again at this big floodplain here. There's a big grass farm on the left there, and we're sort of nearly getting up to Aussie World and the Banana Bender Hotel, which is just up there. But we're going to cross underneath the highway, and we're going to take one of these back roads that leads us down as far as we can get. Now again, unfortunately, there's private property on either side of the road here. The river is just on the right hand side of us, and it's tidal pretty much up to this spot. And this is as far as we can go. So unfortunately, we're going to have to do a U-turn and head back. And the next spot we get to is actually the industrial area in behind Warana. We're now on the Kawana Way, and we've got the big Sunshine Coast University Hospital on the right, and the river and the bit of the swampland at the back is on the left hand side. And just up ahead of us is the big shopping centres. So we've come to a section at the back of the industrial area. That's all industrial area over there. Yep. All sorts of shops. Your mate's brewing is over there, I think, somewhere.
Perriara.
Yeah, however you say it, I'm not too sure.
Near Kawana, on the Sunshine Coast.
But this is actually part of the canal system in behind the coast. There's lots of housing there, there's all sorts of stuff there. And they've got this weir here, which stops it all draining out at low tide. But beyond that is the river. And there's all the industrial area. And that's where the river comes in. So it's tidal all up to here. You can see the tidal current.
Goes off down that way towards
Mooloola.
Mooloola.
Yeah.
It's very clean at the moment.
It is.
Not a really great idea to swim in here because of the bull sharks.
Yeah.
And there are bull sharks in the canals here, so you have to be. No, they say not to swim in them.
Yeah, probably not a great idea.
Mind you, on a hot day, that sure looks good.
Yeah.
It's a big sandbar out in the middle. So you could swim over there and paddle about. It'd be great.
So that's a massive wetland area, all in behind the Sunshine Coast. They're never going to develop that, apparently.
Well, we hope not.
We certainly hope not, but yeah, there's a little hill section in behind there, but all around us is just flat wetlands area.
Yeah.
So the bird life here is
pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
A lot of people do canoe in this river, and I'd say this is where they can pull up, hop out, have a bit of lunch at the table here. It is a good little spot for fishing as well, but it's a long way to the car and it's not really easy to pull off the road. Okay, so we're standing on the wall of the weir. We're just behind Kawana Waters, really, Perriara Kawana Waters. We're going to head up to Mooloolaba now. I'm going to eat something, and we'll show you where the river comes out, which is way more exciting than before. It's not the most exciting river to film because it's very hard to get to the river because there's so many properties in the way.
So it was about lunchtime and we decided to head over to the Kawana Surf Club where we had a beautiful lunch, and then up to Point Cartwright where we can show you the very last bit of the journey. A little walkway here called the John Dyson Walkway, and that's actually named after a friend of mine's father. He did an awful lot of work to help regenerate this area.
Here we are at the beautiful Point Cartwright, and on the other side here is where the Mooloola River comes out.
Yeah.
Come with us and see.
And have a look at this.
That's our water tower.
And there's the Point Cartwright Lighthouse. A Although Rose is scared of the shark.
Watch after 2 when a shark attacks you. Get away.
So out there in front we see the mouth of the Mooloola River. And just a short pan over and we can actually see the mountains in the background where we were this morning. So this is probably one of the only rivers you'll ever find where you can see the mouth of the river and the source of the river all in one scene. To the end of the river is the wharf area. There's a little swimming area over in this little bend of the creek as well, just below those high rises. And that park over there is called La Balsa Park. And that was because there was an expedition come all the way from South America to prove that South Americans had communication at least, or some sort of exposure to people in the Southern Pacific. I think Easter Island was one of their goals, possibly New Zealand, but they actually made it all the way to Australia.
Good idea.
It got towed in to here, and the boat actually got towed up onto the bank over there. And the balsa boat that they'd built, or not a boat, it was a raft, with a thatched roof and all sorts of things, and they sailed it clean across the Pacific Ocean.
This is why they had good weather.
Yeah, I don't know where they did all the way, but yeah, they actually made it alive. They got towed in the last little bit of it because they hadn't actually planned on coming to Australia. There you go. See Mount Coolum there, Karoi Mountain, Mount Ninderry, and behind it there is Pomona Mountain.
Yeah. Where's Coolum?
Over here.
Oh.
Bad little wave. That officially brings us to the end of the Mooloola River.
That's it. We're sorry it's not as exciting as we thought it would be, but hey, it was a good day out. We enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's lovely to see the beach again. We used to live down around here, and now we live in the country.
So yeah, so that's from the source of the Mooloola River right down to the mouth.
Yep.
And a few things along the way.
Now don't forget to
Do the whole like and subscribe thing.
share and subscribe, and if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. See you in the next video. Bye. Puppy, Nanny Rose is going to go and drive through Nolan's. Bananas!